There are a couple Jurassic themed roller coasters out there, and I'm assuming what comes to mind first for most people is the ride right here. This is Velocicoaster, but what if I told you this was miles off of being the best of all of them? Well, to find out the reason for that, we have to go to Osaka, Japan, where you will find Flying Dinosaur. This is a new for 2016 B&M flying coaster that blows any other flyer out of the water. But not only that, any other Jurassic themed roller coaster. In this video, I will go over why this is potentially a top 5 coaster for me and why you need to fit this into your trip if you go to Japan. Lastly, stay tuned till the end of the video as I will quickly go over why I find it to be leagues ahead of Velocicoaster. With that being said, let's begin. Starting with the presentation, I just have to say this ride is stunning and visually might be my all-time favorite coaster. Once you enter the park, you see this absolutely massive lagoon and that humongous green roller coaster just across from it. And once you actually get up close, it's even crazier as you really see the size of this thing, plus all of its close interactions with the pathways. Once you actually make it to the entrance, it's probably one of, if not my favorite entrance sign for any roller coaster. You have this huge pterodactyl behind the words Flying Dinosaur, and I don't know what it is, but it gets you so hyped. Now that we've gone over the presentation, let's go over the queue. I'm gonna say straight off the bat, this isn't thematically impressive compared to your average Universal ride, but it's a coaster that doesn't really need it. It's mainly tons of switchbacks, but it's not too bad because holy crap, these operations are some of the best I've ever seen on a coaster, and it's on a flying coaster. That is so impressive. At the end of the switchbacks, you will reach a set of stairs that will take you to the station, which actually does look quite nice. A total vibe, and it really gets you amped up. But we have now officially gone over the queue, so let's begin with talking about this world-class coaster. You go through some straight track before reaching your lift hill, and I can't lie, it's pretty daunting looking all the way up there while also being forced to stare at the ground and see it get farther and farther. Once you reach the top, you get a nice view before plummeting down the first drop. This is quite a unique drop for a flyer, as most of them have curved drops. The Flying Dinosaur actually just has a normal drop with a little twist at the end. In most rows, this will give you floater airtime, which is a wild sensation on a flyer, but in the front, you get some wonky kind of hang time feeling. You then slam into the valley, getting crazy positives before going straight into an upwards roll. This will give you whip, floater airtime, and hang time all in one. But don't think of this as a graceful element, as you will do a full rotation, but then you keep rotating and end up on your back. This is the strongest moment of positives on the ride, as you are getting slammed into the back of your seat so hard. I don't really black out on rides, but I was darn close on this during every ride. You will rise up and go through a slight turn, and then of course, Flying Dinosaur couldn't just give you a break before you slam into the pretzel loop. You take this with more speed than your average pretzel loop, and oh my gosh, it's the definition of insanity. You are literally diving headfirst into a pitch black tunnel before rising up and continuing on with the ride. I mean, yet again, a borderline blackout worthy element that just blew me away. You exit the element and go into a slight turn to the right before you hit the speed hill, and this is awesome. Literal floater, maybe even flowjector airtime on a flying coaster. It's such a crazy sensation and adds nice variety to this ride, so it's not only crushing positives after crushing positives. After that hill, you will go through a swooping turn over the lake, and oh my gosh, this is such a visually impressive element on and off ride. Plus you're getting really solid positives throughout. You go through a roll with really funky forces, yet again giving this super whippy but also kind of floaty and hang-timey sensation. It's really hard to explain, but the element coming after that is something I bet you have never guessed. A hard gray-out inducing turn. This is amazing, especially with how close to the end of the ride you are, and you are still just getting slammed by positives. You do a little dip downward that gives solid floater, then go through yet another roll. But this is actually insane. I call it the pterodactyl roll because Velocicoaster has the Mosasaurus roll, but honestly, the sensation of these two elements aren't that different. You get the same funky forces as the other roll you just did, but dialed up to 1000. Every part of this element is insane and I love it, but it's not even the best inversion on the ride, which is truly a spectacle to how incredible all of the elements on Flying Dinosaur really are. You hit the final brake run and you have to take a breath because how intense the experience you just had was. Plus, unlike most flyers, instead of being miserable and just dangling there for several minutes, since the operations are so fast, It's like maybe a minute and normally less. You reach the station and continue your day at Universal Studios Japan. But make sure to drink some water so you don't feel dizzy the rest of the day. That's how insane this ride is. For my final score, if it wasn't obvious even from the first element, is an easy 10 out of 10. No questions asked. There's absolutely nothing like Flying Dinosaur out there, so make sure to go and ride it. But before I wrap it up, as I promised, I will go over why I find it far better than Velocicoaster. First, the pacing is better. Second, it's more consistent throughout. Third, the forces overall are just way better. And finally, the fly-to-lie on Flying Dinosaur smacks Velocicoaster's Mosasaurus roll no matter what you say. So there you go. Why I think Flying Dinosaur is far better than Velocicoaster and why it's one of the best coasters I've ever experienced. Thanks for watching and see you next time on Express Thrills. Bye!